had many different times. I remember there was once in 2003 was when I transferred it from the for-profit and donated everything into the nonprofit organization. And then on Christmas Day that year, at the time, we were still a very small project. It was really just a hobby project, and I put it into the nonprofit. And on Christmas Day, we had 3 servers, and 2 of them crashed. And so then, and the place where they were hosted was closed. I couldn't get anybody to go in, and then my employees were all on holiday, so nobody was nearby. So for about 3 or 4 days there, we were struggling on just one computer, and it was a really difficult time. And that was when we decided to do the first fundraiser, because at the time I just didn't know for sure how effective is this going to be. Is it going to be possible to raise enough money to do this? And so I posted the first appeal for donations, and we raised, I was trying to get $20,000 within a couple of weeks, and we raised the money in less than a week, and we actually went over, and we had more than we needed. And that was the first time that I went and bought 8 servers, and really was able to improve the whole situation dramatically. And that was when we first thought, I first felt comfortable that getting support from the general public was going to be successful, and it has been since then. So now that I answered the first question, now I've forgotten the second one.
Why Wikipedia, Yahoo, all born in the States, but not in Europe?
So that's a really big and very interesting question. So the question is, why have a lot of these innovations come from the U.S. Rather than from Europe? The one thing I did want to say, though, that I do think is very important is that I think it's a mistake if we think of Wikipedia as being somehow American.
Yeah.
Every language of Wikipedia is written by local people. There's no one in the office at the Wikimedia Foundation who's monitoring Italian Wikipedia. That's all done by everyone who's speaking Italian anywhere in the world, and it's mostly done from Italy, of course. So that's important. We consider ourselves very global, even though the headquarters is in California. That's just for legal reasons. That's just where we're from. I think there's a lot of reasons. I mean, I think that there are a lot of difficulties in Europe with the support for entrepreneurs. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are, internet entrepreneurs from Europe who have moved to the U.S. For all of the classic reasons. It's much easier to start a business there. I think there's a cultural support for people who are entrepreneurs that's much stronger in the U.S. Europe is not the worst. I mean, there are places, where, I heard people in Korea, for example. When I was in Korea, they were talking about how if you try to be an entrepreneur and start a company, they said, well, your mother is just going to freak out. That you should go and work in a big company, and it's very prestigious, and you're going to go do some crazy thing on your own. They just don't understand that. They don't really support it in the culture. Europe is somewhere in the middle, I think, compared to the U.S. There's also, we're talking about the internet industry in particular, and the internet industry, there is a very high concentration of people, very talented people, talented connections and things like this, all in the San Francisco Bay Area. Now, Wikipedia is not born from San Francisco. I was living in California, in San Diego, California, when I started it, but it really grew when I was living in Florida. And in fact, even today, most of our servers are still in Florida, just because, well, once you have servers running, it's not easy to move them anywhere else. So we have the bulk of the computers are in Florida because of historical reasons. So we don't really come from the Silicon Valley culture. We're a nonprofit. We don't have venture capital money. But we moved the headquarters there because there's so many different people, partners we may work with and things like that. So even though the internet is a very virtual industry in a certain sense, I still think individual human relationships are very important. I think that the main thing that is important for Europe and a lot of other places in terms of encouraging innovation is really to think about ways of encouraging the whole idea of a venture capital industry and the idea of angel investing. Because in many cases it's very hard for young people to get the capital to get started. I mean, when you think about trying to go to a traditional bank to get money for some crazy idea on the internet, this is never going to work. But if you have the ability of people to pool their money and well, let's be honest about it. It's very high risk. Venture capital, most of the investments are failures, but a few of them turn into Google or Facebook and pays for all the others. And that creating that culture of connections and in many cases it's tax laws and things like that which may implicitly discourage that kind of innovation. I think that's one of the main things that people can look at.
Sì, salve, volevo porre anch'io un paio di domande, quindi se c'è bisogno di ripetere l'una o l'altra non c'è problema. La prima è se lei è soddisfatto dell'attuale stato delle licenze open quelle che appartengono alla famosa famiglia delle Creative Commons, che permettono a Wikipedia, Wikia di pubblicare liberamente i loro contenuti, oppure se sente la necessità di una tutela ulteriore per i contenuti pubblicati in questo modo, non so, anche a fronte di enti politici, di corporazioni, di aziende che cercano piuttosto di reprimere la pubblicazione di certi contenuti a loro non convenienti oppure sottoposti a vincolo, per così dire, di monetario, nel senso che a loro, per questi soggetti coinvolti, produce ricchezza, invece la libera pubblicazione di questi contenuti in qualche modo li danneggia. E la seconda domanda si vorrebbe riallacciare a questo concetto, perché piacerebbe sapere come Wikipedia e Wikia si tutelano sia politicamente che tecnicamente contro gli atti di censura e repressione che dette corporazioni o governi totalitari possono operare sui contenuti che vorrebbero essere pubblicati.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm gonna divide those questions up a little bit differently, because I think the first question is about the licensing model, and the second question is about censorship. So on the licensing model, I'm reasonably happy. Right now, Wikipedia is using the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike license. A lot of the images are under Creative Commons Attribution license. We're happy with the licenses. Creative Commons is a nonprofit organization, very international, which exists to create legal frameworks so that people have the ability to share their work in a comfortable way. And they're really meeting a very acute need on the internet, because lots of people want to post their work and let other people reuse it. But the default situation today is that anything you post is automatically under copyright, and other people aren't allowed to use it unless you give them permission. And Creative Commons has been very important in creating a very standardized way that people can give permissions, but they give just the permissions they want. There are many different Creative Commons licenses. The ones we use at Wikipedia are the freest possible licenses. We want everything to be completely free in the sense that I outlined, you can redistribute, you can modify, you can do commercially or non-commercially. We want all those freedoms to be there. But sometimes people don't want to share that way. They want to say, well, I want to share my work and let anyone use it, but only if they're doing something non-commercial. And so that's one set of licenses. People may say, I'm writing an essay. It's my personal political opinion, and I want it to be shared widely. I think it's important. I want lots of people to read it. So I want to give everyone permission to distribute it. And in fact, I don't even mind if they sell it. They can do it commercially. They can do non-commercially. But they can't modify it, because this is my essay. It's my passionate words. And so I'm not going to give the right to modify. So Creative Commons is a very nice framework for allowing people to choose exactly how they want to share their work. The second question was really about censorship. What kind of problems or issues do we face? Well, so first of all, I'll say corporations have absolutely no ability to censor anything. They can choose not to publish something themselves in things that they own. That's not censorship. That's just them choosing to publish what they publish. Censorship would mean that they're forcing us to stop doing something, and they have no ability to do that. Within Wikipedia, of course, anyone can come and try to affect the content, but if someone comes and tries to change Wikipedia in a way that's biased, the community finds that very quickly, and they have a lot of different tools for controlling for that, and they really look out for it a lot. And most big companies understand, because they've seen so many cases of people being embarrassed by making some inappropriate edit in Wikipedia, that they know